think we're just about ready to get started. So, all right, I'll just get the introduction for you out of the way. So, all right, so this is our session on the power of automated and unified billing. So, welcome to the session. We're really happy to have you, and we think you'll find this session super useful in streamlining, automating, and creating an effortless billing pipeline from end to end. So, I'll just get the introductions out of the way. So my name is Manish, and I'm part of the product marketing team here at SuperOps.ai, and I'm your host for today. And I'm joined by two product experts who will be doing most of the heavy lifting for this session. So Akhilesh, who's our product manager for the PSA side of things at SuperOps.ai, he builds most of the amazing features that you see here within SuperOps.ai. So how are you doing, Akhilesh?
I'm doing great, Manish, and hello all. Thanks for taking your time and joining today to discuss the power of unified and automated billing. I'm really looking forward to this session.
All right, that's amazing, man. I'm so happy to have you here. So we're also joined by Thomas Welton, who's a solutions engineering manager at Pax8. Thank you so much for coming, Tom. Are you excited for today's session?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, and yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, who I am as the manager of the solution engineering team here on the Pax8 side of things. Looking forward to showing you guys a live demonstration of kind of our side in the platform. But yeah, ultimately talking about how we're making life easier for you guys, and yeah, consolidating a lot of this stuff through automation and what the SuperOps platform has done. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Thanks a lot for coming, Tom. We're thrilled to have you. So I'm just going to set the stage and give you folks a little context and let our product experts do their magic from there. So I'll just be walking you folks through the agenda for this session. So okay, I'll just be doing a quick introduction of who Pax8 and who SuperOps.ai are. So I'll just be skimming over the basics of what the tools do, how they create value, and the kind of pain points that they aim to target. So after that, our solutions expert will be taking over from there, where Thomas will be taking us through the entire subscription pipeline from end to end, from procurement all the way to billing. So Thomas will be taking us through the Pax8 side of things, and from there, Akhilesh will be taking us through on how SuperOps.ai picks up the baton from the billing side of Pax8 and moves it into your PSA, and how value is created from there on. So Akhilesh will be taking us through that journey, and from there on, we'll just be discussing a lot of the smaller things that your PSA can add value on your everyday operations, right? So the value of having your PSA as your single source of truth for all of your offerings, and automating the smaller places where grunt work can really slow things down. All of these things and much more is basically the agenda for today. So yeah, I'll just get started with what SuperOps is and what we aim to achieve in the MSP industry. So SuperOps.ai is a PSA RMM platform that's basically built to streamline and help MSPs drive their operations a lot smoother and provide exceptional IT service. So we just wanted to move things forward from the current landscape of legacy tools available in the market today for modern MSPs. And for the kind of work that they do, we felt that the amount of features available and the intuitiveness was a little bit lost for people to do their best work and be productive. So we really wanted to push that needle forward and create an experience that's modern, intuitive, and pave the way for a lot more profitability while dealing with their clients. So basically, we're a PSA RMM tool that's packed with a lot of features. Our PSA comes with ticketing, task management, project management, robust billing and invoicing pipeline, all of it which is powered by automation, where it's specifically designed intelligently to make sure that it takes a lot of that grunt work off your shoulders so that you can focus on the things that really need your attention, right? So we also have a very powerful RMM system, but we're just going to be focusing on the PSA module for today. So we'll also be moving on to the introduction for Pax8, where and Pax8 is basically a household name at this point, and Pax8 and cloud solutions are almost synonymous. So Pax8 is your industry-leading platform for and marketplace for all sorts of cloud solutions, right? It has a diverse array of cloud solutions ranging from AWS to your Bitdefender to all sorts of cloud solutions that make your client's life easier, right? So these are the kind of solutions that you can look for in Pax8, and anything from procurement to making sure that you have all of the right tools and the right solutions at your disposal at any time, Pax8 is your go-to place. And they've really built built a name for themselves with over 20,000 partners worldwide. And Pax8 has really been a very reliable source of solutions for their clients. So I'm sure Tom will be elaborating on a lot more of the kind of value that Pax8 provides for their partners and their customers. So I'm just going to be moving on to the kind of pain points that we're combinedly facing and that the industry is facing, and the kind of solutions that we want to provide from here on. So it starts all the way from software management and procurement, where IT industry admins and sysadmins and MSPs are focused to look to a multitude of vendors to just to find a single pointed solution. And that can create a very fragmented, a very disoriented experience for IT admins when they need to scramble and look for the different vendors on their list. So so Pax8 really does bring all of that together and makes life a little easier. So, and that also leads to the process of manual billing when you have to bill all of these subscriptions for each of your clients. And this can really get cumbersome when you have a long list of clientele, and the subscriptions can really add up over time, right? And with all of this comes the maintenance part of things, where you have to keep track of price changes for each subscription and make sure that your service catalog is nice and cleaned up. So this really does take up a lot of your time, and it also leaves a huge margin for error, right? So that is something that we really need to work on. And it all basically boils down to how your subscriptions are fragmented within your own tools, where you have some of your subscriptions on Pax8, some of them are on your PSA tool, and some on your bookkeeping tool. So your different offerings be existing in different tools can create silos where you don't really know if that's the updated version of the offerings in your hand. So just combining all of this, consolidating these different offerings to make sure that your PSA is your reliable source of information, and can really drive the entire process of building and invoicing forward. So these are the kind of pain points that we're looking to target, and that's kind of where we'll have Thomas step in on the Pax8 side of things. So over to you, Tom.
Perfect. Yeah, my mute button there. Yeah, again, so Tom Welton here on the Pax8 side of things. Yeah, a little bit more about Pax8 if you guys haven't quite heard of us there. Yeah, very much hope we're headed towards that household name status. I absolutely love to hear that. But where we sit within that channel is very much in the space of a modern cloud distributor, a place where you can buy, sell, and manage your cloud services. Really keeping most of those things in one place. I'm a bit wary of that single pane of glass soundtrack. I know that we hear that a lot from a lot of different suppliers, but very much so, yeah, in use of the Pax8 platform. And then what we'll see with the SuperOps side of things as well is that this will considerably consolidate things. And so this will cut down on the numbers of pane of glass, and then ultimately as well add fewer clicks. And I think you hit the nail on the head there when you were talking about introducing that human error, because just simply put here, the more clients we have, the more services per client that we add on, that success doesn't always translate to the financials in the books. It adds lots of stress to you as the business owner. It adds stress to your finance, your billing team. And ultimately, there's work to be done every month. We're at the tail end of August here. Somebody's doing billing consolidation right now. I bet you somebody on this webinar either today or tomorrow has to kind of shore up the books, make sure we got everything collected for the month, and then ultimately get ready to do this again next month as well. So these are the kind of things that we'll be able to show you guys today in some of the demonstration here of what this looks like, save you guys a bit of time on that. And then again, yeah, ultimately freeing you guys up to go a lot further with that. Very cool features as well. So not just mutually exclusive to this cloud software. Show you guys a little bit about maybe putting custom products and some of the things that we've done inside of our platform. Allow you to track things like hardware, professional services, premier support, work from home equipment, kind of anything and everything there. Again, kind of simplifying that for yourself, and hopefully reducing as much human error into that as possible.
That's great, Tom. Thank you so much for that. For briefly summarizing how all of those pains can really get soothed with a single pane of glass experience. So yeah, you could like go ahead with sharing your screen and taking us through the entire Pax8 pipeline.
Perfect. Yeah. So what I'll do here is I'll kind of start out on the Pax8 side of things, show you kind of how the integration would be set up, maybe a little bits and bobs as to where you get the kind of connection established. And then, yeah, very, very happy to hand it over to Akhilesh as well, just to see what that SuperOps side of things looks like. So yeah, give me just one moment here and I'll share out my screen.
All right, that's perfect.
All right, great. You should be seeing a screen with a little bit of white and blue, a little bit of an infinity logo here in the top left. It says YIT. Are you guys able to see that all right on your side? Wonderful. All right, just yeah, give me a shout here, Manish, if you guys are unable to see my screen here.
Oh, this is perfect.
Perfect. Great. Yeah. So what we're looking at here, just to get kind of a little bit of a kind of orientation, is one potential landing page to the Pax8 platform. So it is something that is white labelable and white brandable. So you can go ahead and throw your own logo into it. Makes it feel like that much more of a home for yourself, but also showing you guys today with some of the billing and capturing this, very important for that self-service customer. So this platform does contain the capability to pass a login down to one of those end users, one of those end clients. They may be a larger company. They may be, technically proficient. They may just be very, analytical about keeping track of every little line item and want more visibility. So a couple of different reasons to move forward with that self-service access. And yeah, kind of these landing pages coming in, you can see here, I've got YIT, just to click over to another one really quick, just to show you here, I've got, Java Labs as well. Got kind of a separate login here just to show you, yeah, different kind of flavors of things that we're able to see. One thing off the front here is you can see the landing page and the dashboard is just ever so slightly different. Again, this needs to be customized to you and your role in the business. And so that's what we very much know that some of you guys on the call today here are more on the technical side. Some of you are on the sales side. Some of you are on both sides. Some of you wear all the hats in the organization, kind of those one-man bands there in the smaller capacity. This information needs to be relevant to you. So you can see here, I've got a technical view is one thing that we're looking at. Nothing so complex, just a simple little iframe, keeping an eye on things like Azure services, if that's my role. Pending support tickets and things like that. We do offer 24/7 free support included with the Pax8 partnership. So yeah, kind of day or night, if I have to open up, a ticket about anything about any pieces of software, how's that all managed? But ultimately that maybe is not my role as well. So maybe my role is to drive revenue, to drive growth, to keep an eye on sales and numbers. Here's a fantastic way to do it. So I'm going to pop over to my Java Labs here and just show you we have the ability to present new dashboards very, very quickly with, no configuration or technical knowledge needed, just, one or two clicks here and you'll be able to spin up these dashboards. So here we've got, kind of a collection of newer dashboards that we want to jump out. The sales layout is absolutely a very, very impressive one. So you can see there with one or two clicks, give that a couple of seconds to load. That's going to queue up a lot of really great data that we're able to take a look at. So here on the left side, you can see, rather large book of business here, got 214 something companies, almost as many subscriptions. But across that, where is that company reach going? Are there companies that are maybe a little bit more inactive? What does that new business look like month after month? Again, this data is available to you. You guys have this, but it's a little bit hard to collate. It takes time, effort, and energy to get it all in one place. Very, very cool ways of looking at this data. And again, a lot of the stuff white labelable and brandable. So, very, very good to come in here. If you've got a certain theme to your business or a certain color profile or scheme, very much kind of flavor these a little bit more, makes it feel like just that much more like home, again, for you and that self-service user. We want you guys to present this platform very much of your own. Another great one to take a look at is kind of this total spend here with it. Down here at the bottom are how we classify a lot of our cloud technologies. We know that there's a million different solutions to the million different problems out there. But generally, we find that the technologies fit into kind of these categories or these stat categories, as we call them. You can see things like productivity. That's going to be your standard Office 365, your G Suite, kind of that Word, PowerPoint, Excel type of basic business apps. You've got things like infrastructure. So we are talking, Microsoft Azure, AWS, potentially some other infrastructures, things like that in the future. Right there, continuity. And so this is where this widget is already providing data for us. You can see continuity, the continuation or, backup. We're just talking about backing up a mailbox, something that's absolutely a great idea to do. Even Microsoft recommends going to that third party to back up those mailboxes. Right there, you can see we had a couple of good months in March and April, but then something happened in May. So this is a great way to kind of clue into some trends, get some analysis, see, hey, I was doing great in that backup sphere, but something's going on there with continuity. So maybe time to revisit some of these solutions there, and or reach out to the team here at Pax8 just to get a little bit more insight as to how I can drive that conversation with that end customer. So a couple of really cool widgets on that one right there. Last two I will show you here is just getting insights. Again, there you saw that we are growing very, very rapidly across the globe. 12-year-old company at this point, started in the United States. Yes, I am talking to you today from Bristol, England, which I have called home for the past 2 years. Expanding greatly into the European markets, as well into the Asia Pacific markets. And so really kind of getting that sun never sets on Pax8 model going. And with that, kind of cluing in what's popular, what's the community doing. So, getting into here, you're going to get the anonymized data of what's trending well is what you can see here. So you can see, a couple of additions to our line card recently. We've got some products on here that kind of assist with the day-to-day core functionalities, getting things like password management, endpoint detection and response, kind of core business needs, as well as other services, things that improve that quality of life for yourself. Exclaimer is a great example of that signature management. Get a really good idea of kind of what your colleagues, what the other parts of the channel are looking at. So really great data to go ahead and take a look at. And if you are curious about what items are available in your area, it's as easy as just going to pax8.com. There'll be a little marketplace button up at the top. That'll tell you kind of regionally what's available, just because we do have different agreements per different regions there. With that as well, let's maybe talk about how we're going to maybe take a look at some SaaS SaaS software here, and then ultimately translate that over to the SuperOps side of things. So with that, I guess setting up the connection would be step one, and then what I'd like to do is kind of step through ordering a process and kind of showing you when your job would be complete, and then ultimately feel good about going home and kind of going to sleep at night knowing that you've captured all that revenue. So within the Pax8 platform, you simply just need to enable that functionality inside of SuperOps. It's just done through a little bit of an unlock inside of our tools section right here. We've got a functionality called partner shells. You can think of this absolutely like any kind of a shell, like an empty seashell or a hermit shell. It's just something kind of an empty house for that product to live, for that cloud service to move into, for users to deploy services, whatever that might be. Up here at the top, we've got a couple of different partner shells. Again, depending on your region, this list may change. There's an API partner shell that will need to be filled out. You can see I've got one existing right here, so I'm just going to go into edit shell to show you. It's a very, very limited thing. Again, no advanced configuration, just a few bits and bobs as to some email contacts. Let us know who to reach out to as far as administration. Things like phone number, things like that, get all that sorted, submit those details. Again, this turns on just in a couple of seconds. Once you have that then enabled, very, very easy then to just go to yourself as a profile up here at the top. We've got user settings. Again, this is where, you guys are familiar with this throughout other cloud platforms. We've got, ability for dark and neon mode and things like that just to display the platform. But across the couple of tabs here, we've got a couple of different things. And so what you'll notice now is that this developer apps will now be available. Very, very quickly there, you can see that I can spin up a partner shell, come into it. If you do have kind of outside services, want to connect things, we've got our documentation available for you. But in order to kind of pass this over and get this integrated on the SuperOps side, you will be prompted for a client ID and a client secret. Here is just very, very quickly how you would create something like that. So you can see here, if I can spell today, we can get, SuperOps created right there. I can, create a new connection. And you can see here right away, it's just generated that. So I've got my client ID. I've got my client secret available if I need to. A little bit example about how that works and to get it integrated. And realistically, that's all there is to it. Truly don't need to spend too much more time on the specifics here, just because we've made this such an easy process. Yeah, and as far as I know there, yeah, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here at Akhilesh. I believe this is the only piece of information that's needed in order to get that integration up and running. Only other thing I'll note just before jumping over to kind of the ordering side is that you can see here, you can have several concurrent connections. And so if you are, potentially transitioning away from a different billing tool, if you got kind of data and reporting, there's no confliction or limitation here. You can, rip and replace, you can, delete and replace these connections at will. Very, very flexible system, again, designed to fit around your current business processes rather than have you guys change that just to fit things on our side. Great, so we've got that set up, we've got the client ID, we've got the client secret sorted. Let's get some licensing. Let's get some, basic Microsoft licensing in place and maybe see how that translates over to the SuperOps side. So here I'm going to head back over to my YIT. Again, kind of just where we're at. We've got 16 companies. I think we got 50 subscriptions across those 15 companies. So let's kind of dive into this, maybe showcase a little bit more of the Pax8 platform. You can see there I got several clients, several customers, kind of different information. Again, kind of hometown here in Bristol now, the Bristol Aquarium is who I like to pick on. We'll dive into this specific customer just a little bit deeper. So we see a couple of things here about some company information. One thing here at the top that I will notice, this is where that self-service access is going to be located as well. So if you are a current Pax8 partner and have not explored this and or you are looking at Pax8, definitely one of the more valuable components that we're able to offer is that login, 2FA, MFA secured, very secured, scoped in role-based access login for that customer. Simply needs to be enabled with a yes. You can even see a follow-up question was prompted here, the order approval required. When that end customer, clicks submit, clicks go on the order, do you want that to go through to instant provisioning and instant billing? Or maybe do you want to build up that trust first? Do you want to empower them to do it, but double check it first? And so if you hit that approval to yes, it'll simply email your team, email an administrator on your team, look it over, give it that rubber stamp of approval, and then be able to send it into that instant provisioning model. So yeah, very, very good ways of kind of rolling that out initially and getting those users all set up at the top. So across here at the top of our individual company, again, we're just on the aquarium here. I've got a couple of different tabs. Again, we'll give you information, little notes there, provisioning data that maybe you've provided for some of our API processes to work for other products. There's that self-service user. So again, now that they exist, very, very easy for me to come in here, create that user, first name, last name, email. This is the one that gets prompted with a 2FA, MFA setup, and again, in a good way of security, no way to disable this. This is enforced in 100% of Pax8 logins. And then ultimately as well, the role, is this, kind of a super user or we, work at a many more limited capacity. So again, very, very easy to spin out kind of read-only access and kind of, walk before we're able to run here with some of these permissions and using the platform, ultimately empowering them with just enough access to get what they need to get done and then ultimately get back to work as well. So we've got our self-service users created. Let's take a look at subscriptions. And so here, here's what looking at maybe several cloud products and non-cloud products in one capacity might look like for any given customer. So we can see things like Microsoft Azure services, a few other Microsoft licenses there that maybe have kind of hard count quantities, a couple of non-Microsoft products inside of here. And then things on here as well that are definitely not cloud products, laptop rentals, things like that, hardware sales, something like, YIT support or a silver package, kind of ambiguous term there. These are custom products. And so something that's very, very great about our platform is the ability to come in. If it's not something on our line card, but it is something you sell, you can come in, kind of curate this up as a custom product. And then be able to translate that back to that PSA tool to SuperOps, just to be able to give that, line by line, side item by side item consideration. Ultimately, again, going to really cut down on the complexity that end user, that end customer is going to have to go through. So in scrolling through a couple of these right here, looks like we got a good bit of Microsoft, but maybe we need a few business standard seats. And so I need to go ahead and action a new order of some Microsoft that does not exist. We can either go into our catalog and then order for the aquarium, or if we know it's for them, we can simply hit the order button here. So again, with the process of our platform here being designed, several correct ways of doing it, no wrong way of doing it. Once inside of our catalog here, maybe we sort through what's available. We decide that we've got a handful of Microsoft. The business standard looks great to us, and so we'll go ahead and click one layer deeper. No surprises here. We'll kind of let you know what Microsoft.com says about this product. Give you kind of those key features and checklists, sometimes additional resources, things like white papers, hardening guides, implementation guides. Additional resources will be collated here at the bottom. And then ultimately getting that product up and running here, we got a couple of different options. And so if there's any kind of pricing complexity, things like non-Microsoft products, tiered pricing, things like that will be available there. We can give you kind of detailed pricing, as well as free trials. And so, hey, I'm not ready to go full live with this. Let's stand it up or maybe give that out in trial capacity. Let's go ahead and get that out. But we know we need our standards. We need to get these up in place. So we'll hit our checkout button. You're going to see here this checkout flow is going to be, hopefully very familiar to you. If you've ever used any other marketplace, something like an Amazon or an eBay, this workflow should be fairly intuitive then. First is first, when do we want these licenses? So the default answer is kind of, now. I needed these licenses yesterday, instant provisioning. Absolutely, that's going to work and something that we do very well here at Pax8. But also don't discount that future effective date. So, very, very easy for me to feel good about going on vacation next week, knowing that I've queued up these licenses. We've used some good front end validation that I'll showcase here in a bit just to show you these effective dates. These future effective orders, the license will be in place and we'll be able to do it without kind of, the extra charge or kind of needing that extra month licensing there. So a couple of really great options for the effective dates, but we'll just go ahead and stick with today. Things like billing and commitment terms, new commerce experience included, and kind of anything and everything within the complexity we will be able to support. Kind of financials on one side there, and then we've got the quantity of however many we need. So we'll go ahead and with 10 of these licenses looks good. Again, we can add it to our cart, our shopping cart, and kind of continue shopping for additional services. Things like add-ons. Maybe we're going to put some Windows Defender on this, maybe some Intune if we're doing mobile device management, things like that. We'll go ahead and check out with what we currently have here. And generally, you're going to see this across all of our software here as you guys check out the platform. So, step one, who is this customer? Do we have enough to kind of uniquely identify them? Step two, billing and payment information. Step three, technical contact. If we're ordering maybe a net new Microsoft, again, maybe they're coming from something like a G Suite and they're looking at Microsoft. We need that net new account. Who do we send those credentials to? Who's that login going to? You can see there, you can kind of designate certain contacts for certain scenarios. And then down here is really where I wanted to just spend a bit of time kind of showing, the provisioning details. Here's how we don't take a guess when we put this order in. We know, we confidently put in this order. We'll ask you very logical questions. First up, yes, no. Do they exist in Microsoft? Real quick, you can see I can flip it over to no, and it's going to have a .onmicrosoft.com availability. So, let us know what you'd want that to be. We'll make sure that domain's not taken. And we'll go ahead and spin up that net new Microsoft account. If the answer is yes, that they are transacting in Microsoft, there's the rest of that workflow. One thing I'd like to point out there is that tenant ID is how we validate. Myself as Tom or Tommy or Thomas, depending on, if it's my birth certificate or my mom calling me. I may go by a couple of different names or a couple of different domains, but my social security is not going to change. My national health number is not going to change. There's a, kind of a serial number associated with us in one capacity or another. Very much so with these Microsoft accounts, there's that tenant ID. We know that to be the true account, and how we validate that we're pointing these licenses correctly. And something I'd like to show you as well is that front end validation. So every field that we're collecting data here and doing this, we're checking for success. And so we're making sure that this is going to go through that first time around, drastically reduces error, drastically reduces those delays in provisioning and things like that, in which we do see a lot of the MSP community running into regularly. So you can see there down to and including the date of acceptance. If I get everything just right, we get that green validation, my continue button comes alive, and I can kind of progress to completing the order here. So step 5, I'll go ahead and look at this there. We do have PO system. get our terms and conditions there as required by Microsoft and any other providers, and then ultimately we'll complete the order. So at this point in the background, kind of as fast as you can log into portal.office.com and take a look at that licensing count, you are going to see 10 business standards. It is going to happen in that instantaneous capacity. And realistically at this point, you're done. And so that's what I don't want to steal too much of the additional thunder here. But yeah, the billing, and translating this over to the SuperOps side will be done, automatically. And for that to take effect is, again, one less thing for you guys to do, one less thing for you to worry about, and or potentially, forget about or have that, slip between the cracks. That's where that revenue leakage comes in. And then ultimately we are able to get you guys that back. And then get you guys confident using these services. So one thing that may happen a little bit more often than spinning up that net new Microsoft, is simply adding a seat or removing a seat. Very much so, many of you manage Microsoft today. You've got a couple hundred seats. It's just a few seats here, a few seats there. How do I get in, again, make that change, and then ultimately get back to work? And how fast can I do that? How much time does that really save me? So here, what I'd like to do is maybe, a couple days later, I come into it, I can search for my Bristol company or cities located in Bristol there, very flexible search bar. We'll hop back into our Bristol aquarium. We'll come into our subscriptions. We'll scroll down here. We'll maybe find our new subscription. There's our business standard of a quantity of 10. So I'm going to hit manage and dive just one layer deeper. Here you can see just, again, information about the product, when it was started, terms and commitments, things like that. But then also we've started the subscription history. So we can see here that, a quantity of 10 was the initial order on this date by this technician or this self-service user. So again, if we're empowering those end clients and end users to have the ability to order licenses, definitely need that audit capability, need to keep everybody accountable if an extra 9 or a 0 happens to get added to an order there. Things like that do happen. So just being able to kind of see where that order is. This time around, all I need to do is modify the existing quantity. You can see here I can manipulate some of the boxes, but maybe I just need an additional 2. Give that 2 checks, terms and conditions, and submit. And there really is the power of the whole process. And so here you can see it's kind of prompting some of our other syncing features that this is not as relevant here as SuperOps is going to take over. So you're very much done at this point. So you can see there again, we've updated our subscription history. We've got a quantity change in which it was an event that +2 was added. And it was ordered by me. So very good way of kind of starting that and then maintaining that over time. Again, I kind of mentioned that self-service feature, so I did want to showcase how that's going to interact with this system as well. So I'm back here on the company screen. I've got a couple of self-service users right here. This little button allows me to masquerade or pretend to be this user just to see what they see. So again, what's that end client experience going to look like? Here, I just want to note what this looks like currently. So, my level right here at the MSP, I've got all 16 of my customers and 50 subs across them. If Edward from the aquarium comes in and logs in, what's he going to see? So you can see here, nothing radically different, just very streamlined, very scoped in to only his book of business. He doesn't have any permissions into any other things in your business. And if he goes and clicks on subscriptions, he can only see 16. There are no other companies, and they're all associated with him. So he has the ability to come in then. He can come into the business standard. He can decide, hey, actually, one of my new starters said he needs a couple more weeks. And so I actually only need 11. There you can see very, very easy for that self-service user to come in here, either add or remove a seat at will and be able to put that through very, very quickly. So go ahead and give that a quick refresh just so I can get that to track there. Let's see, terms and conditions here. There we are. So you can see there again, just a little bit, depending on kind of the screen there, there's a little bit of a red tint to this, but it's a -1 event. And then ultimately that will be tracked to the user. It looks like I got scoped out of my self-service, but this will, absolutely be tracked by somebody. I do have a subscription in here that's maybe lived a little bit longer. So let's maybe go to my exchange plan 2s. Something over time. Again, it's easy to think about when there's a handful of changes, but here, very, very clear cut when myself or Edway was in here making changes, and kind of when those events took place, kind of how that plus minus system works. And so a lot of really, really great data going on inside of this. And again, I know I'm getting pretty close to my time here. So just the very last thing that I would like to showcase is usage-based subscriptions. And so this is something that is just incredibly important to us. It's incredibly difficult to bill for. So oftentimes you guys aren't maybe leveraging this to its fullest capacity, or potentially you're limiting your services and offering these simply because you don't capture this revenue properly. So again, a great way that Pax8 can step in and help with this. I've got a company here, Wolfram and Hart, that does have an active subscription. So I'm just going to go into their subscriptions. Maybe a little bit of a smaller client here, but they do have some active Azure services. And so what I can do here, and again, translate this down to that self-service customer, myself, Edward, we can come in here. We can take a look at what Azure services are currently in play. You can see there, I'm going to hit the show details, and wow, lots of data, lots of line items, lots of things going on. Storage, bandwidth, VMs, all sorts of things here per resource group and resource. Lots of really, really great ways to do this. And again, we'll have this all available for you, with the ability to either show this to your customer and empower them to come in and, give them that transparency. Or again, if you're leveraging maybe different billing scenarios, maybe prevent them from seeing that. Lots of really great stuff in there, exporting data. Again, this is all about empowering you guys to kind of do more with your existing workforce, do more with your existing headcount, really kind of step up into that scaling and into multiple customers, and then multiple subscriptions on top of those customers as well is really where you start driving that month-over-month revenue. And with that, I believe I've been able to showcase everything on my side there. I don't have the ability to see questions there. Are there potentially any questions in the chat or anything else that you'd like me to showcase here on my end?
Yes, Tom. So we'll be having a Q&A session near the end after we're done going through the entire product and the entire flow. So we're reserving questions for the end. So please do drop in any questions that you might have for either Tom or Akhilesh at the end of the session, and we'll definitely get to those questions at the end. So thank you so much for the detailed walkthrough, Tom. I'm pretty sure our attendees found it really, really helpful. Personally, I really liked how much attention to detail there was at each step. It really didn't end with, say, just procurement or say setting up future effective dates, right? So it's very clear that there was like a lot of care that was just taken into just making things easier for your partner. So all right, so from there, we just want to like do a small poll. If you could just give us a second. All right, so we just have like a question or two before we just jump into Akhilesh's session, because we just want to understand a few things from your end so that we're able to like make our journey more meaningful to you, to users like you. So our question is, how exactly are you managing your recurring subscriptions today? So where are we? This is a very meaningful question to us because each MSP, each IT service industry person has their own way of managing subscriptions, and some are efficient, some might be having their own peeves with their flow, and some people might be looking for a way out on how they want to answer these things, right? So all right, so the answers are in, and all right, so a lot of people do think making it manually seems to make more sense for them. So, and I feel like that will tie in very meaningfully into Akhilesh's session, because a lot of a huge section of how SuperOps' approach to invoicing is based on automation, and how you can really automate some really useful at really impactful places, so that you have more time on your hands to focus on things that matter the most. So all right, I'm going to end this poll here, and Akhilesh will be taking up the next part of the session. So all right, Akhilesh, the stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Manish, and thank you so much, Tom, for that amazing demo on what Pax8 exactly does. And for everyone on the call, of course, I'm stepping in towards the end, because this is where the culmination happens, that is in the PSA, because Tom did walk us through how you can provision licenses, manage licenses, etc. in Pax8. But how about now, if you are using a PSA tool, or let's say you might be charging customers for your cloud subscriptions, then you might have your standard recurring fees that is your retainers, or you're adding work logs and you want to charge customers based on that. That's all part of your contract. And you do not want to burden your customers with multiple invoices, or you don't want to go through the burden of managing multiple invoices. So the part that I will be covering is how everything comes into one single space, be it if you're effectively managing all the subscription in Pax8 and running your business using PSA. So how do we bring everything together to make your life easy is what I'll be showing you today in the demo. So to start with, of course, yes, I'm going to show you the integration as such on how you can go ahead and set up the integration. Tom already mentioned in his demo on how you can get the client ID and client secret key. Once that is done, it's about just configuring it and connecting it. And once your connection is established, what we could choose to do is you can import your companies from Pax8 as clients in SuperOps. But however, there could be many cases where you already started using SuperOps as your PSA, or already imported your clients using or importing modules or QuickBooks or Xero. So there are multiple ways of getting in clients in SuperOps.ai. And if you have already have that, then you can just directly go ahead and map it, saying it's for a particular client or so that you don't need to create that unnecessarily. Or if you want, you can just choose to create them all in one go. So just for the interest of this demo, I'm just going to take a particular customer and just show you how that works. And I'm going to just create this particular client. In your case, you can create, map all of them and just hit import. And once you have done, what we will do is go ahead and fetch these customer details from Pax8 and create it right inside SuperOps.ai and give you a status check on saying that, hey, we have created this particular client. And once the client is created, what we will also be doing is, as you can see, you will also have a mapping of service items. So what we do is you can import your service items from Pax8 and then go ahead and create all of them inside SuperOps.ai. And it need not be just, let's say, the subscriptions that you have in Pax8. These will be all of them, that all the active subscriptions you have in SuperOps.ai, in Pax8, and you can just create them in SuperOps. But however, there could be cases where you might have added these items because you were already billing for these items through QuickBooks or Xero, and you created these integrations, you created these items, you can map it. But if there is literally no mapping required and you are literally going to just create the subscription, I would even suggest skipping this step. So once a client is created, as you can see, a client was created, all you have to do is just enable Pax8. So if at all, if there are any existing service items and you need to map those items to what's already there, then you can choose to do so here. But otherwise, when you go ahead and click enable Pax8, what we will do is for the clients that were created from Pax8 or mapped from Pax8, we automatically create these subscription items and also map it under their contract. And the best part is once a contract has been created and established, the billing is completely automated from there on. So what do I mean by that is, let's say I hit enable Pax8. So as you can see, the sync is in progress now. Now I can go to my client section in SuperOps. So I can quickly go ahead and do that. And you can see that the client I created from Pax8 is right here. And when I go into the contracts for that particular client, what will happen is we will also start fetching. Once the sync is complete, you will be able to see the subscription items as well. So how that would look like is this. So the moment once the subscription item syncs are in, so you will be able to see all the Pax8 items that's been pulled in for this particular client. So you'll be able to see this particular client already has subscriptions and running in Pax8 for Microsoft 365 Business. When was the start date? What's the current quantity? You would be able to see. And if it's running on a monthly subscription, we would have already fetched all this as subscription items in SuperOps.ai. Now, so this way, what happens is now we can go ahead and add your own custom items. Let's say it can be a fixed fee or any other items, and you can have multiple subscriptions right here managed inside SuperOps. It need not be just Pax8 items, but it can be other subscription items as well. And you can add them. And in one single space, you can manage all your recurring subscriptions. Now, Tom also mentioned about changing, let's say, quantities, etc. Sometimes, yes, right now, I have fetched all the Microsoft 365 Business Basic license, and I can see that there are currently 30 subscriptions running for this particular client in Pax8. Now, this particular client can call one of you and say, I need 5 more licenses. And all you have to do is just make sure that you provision that license in Pax8. We will immediately recognize the change. and then add the proration automatically. So just to show you how that works is I just wanted to give you a quick idea of how our own subscription management is built so that I can tell you how we sync it with Pax8. So for example, let's say you have a Microsoft O365 license for 15, let's say quantity, and you have to increase this quantity by, let's say 5. All I have to do is modify quantity and just say 5, and you can say effective from, and I can choose the date, and immediately I will show the prorated amount, or I can choose to immediately generate an invoice. This calculation is basically completely automated. So, so this is what we exactly do with Pax8 integration as well. So let's say in terms of you're not using Pax8 and you're managing subscriptions completely in SuperOps, what you would be doing is just changing the quantity, giving the effective date. So we will take care of the proration automatically. But in the case of Pax8 items, what we do is whenever you change these quantities, we auto sync it so that you will also know the changes reflecting, just like how I'm showing it right here, saying that all the changes in Pax8 will be automatically reflecting, including the prorated amount auto-calculated as well. So you don't need to worry about managing your billing or making sure that your PSA has to be in sync with Pax8. The best part is one of the USPs of SuperOps.ai is you don't even need to worry about syncing this item manually, right? So all you have to just do is provision this extra licenses or provision a new license in Pax8, and you can just forget about it. We run a thorough 24-hour check, a regular check with Pax8. So if we find any change, we auto sync it with your contract. So of course, we have given a manual sync button as well, so that a manual sync can happen. You want instant gratification so that you can see the change coming in, etc. But we just wanted to make sure that even though, like, even in the cases where you forget to do the manual sync or forget to sync it in Pax8, you just need to do we just need to know one thing: we have got you covered. So you just have to make the change, and the change will auto reflect in SuperOps because we keep syncing with Pax8 every 24 hours, right? So now you can ask me saying that, okay, I'm having all the subscriptions, I can have other subscriptions right inside, let's say in SuperOps.ai. Now I'll have other work logs coming in. All of that will be beautifully coming into your billing queue. And of course, we can get into the depth of how everything is working into SuperOps.ai with respect to subscriptions, work logs, etc. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to keep it short, saying that you have one single queue where all the prorates of a particular, let's say, item from Pax8 or all the subscriptions that you are managing in SuperOps, aside things from Pax8, and all your work logs that you have added for a client, everything is beautifully waiting in a queue, so that when you go ahead and set an invoicing schedule, saying every month, the first of every month, the invoice has to be created, you will just go to the queue, scan for all that's there, and create the invoice for you, right? For example, I can even manually create this invoice. So what will happen is I can just choose these items that came in from all these proration. So automatically you can see how the invoice is generated with the description saying what was the item, it was a prorated charge, for what date was the proration. If it was a standard subscription, you will know what was the item and it's a standard charge and for which month has it been charged. So all those details will come into the invoice, and you might have additional line items for your own subscriptions that you're managing inside SuperOps or for all the work log. So it's going to be one single auto-generated invoice that you're going to just go ahead and send it to your clients right away, right? So that is the best part of what we can show in the SuperOps.ai, and that is what I want to share with you on what we have done with the Pax8 integration. So in short, you just have to manage your subscriptions in Pax8, and we have automated rest of all of the other things inside SuperOps so that you can just go ahead and leave away all the manual grunt work, worrying about is my PSA is in sync with all the licensing and changes in Pax8, etc. We have automated all that for you. The invoice that is auto-generated will take in effect all those changes that happen in Pax8, your work logs, and other subscriptions, so that you're not leaving money on the table, but it's on point every time. So that's what I want to share with you on this particular webinar with everyone from a SuperOps aspect as well.
All right. Thank you so much for that walkthrough, Akhilesh. I think it was very, very well, very, very thorough. And I felt like it was very streamlined, where it was very clear on where exactly you need to go from configuration all the way to your when you had to map service items or clients, or even setting up your prorate charges and having it fall into your billing queue. All of it felt very seamless. So thank you for that. All right, folks, I have one more question for you before we jump into the Q&A. So just a second. So this next question from my end is mainly going to be for the purpose of us shaping our roadmap based on your needs. So this poll is mainly about understanding why what your preferred method for billing clients is, and how you manage to do it. So do you plan on doing manual invoicing and raising invoices every single time when customers ask, or do you plan on doing a single consolidated invoice at the end of each month, or any sort of cadence that you might have? So we're asking this so that we can tailor our experience to make sure that it caters to the most to the larger audience, and so that they have the people using these features can have a more personal and more comfortable experience when they're using it. So all right, it seems like the majority is leaning towards the single consolidated invoice. That makes a lot of sense. So we also do have one follow-up question to this. Please do leave your answers in the chat. So we also want to know, what is one unsolved problem that you want to see your PSA solve. So you might be facing a multitude of issues with your existing solutions or with your existing workflow, right? So do leave us your answers in the chat, and we would love to take a look, because we want to see what sort of issues that a modern MSP like you is facing. So and those are the issues that we really do set out to solve. So please do let us know in the chat. And yeah, I think with that, we can move on to the Q&A. So if you have any sort of questions, please let us know in the Q&A, and we'd be more than happy to answer. All right. So also, just as a side note, we have had 3 questions in the Q&A so far, and Tom's added responses to all of them. So if you'd like to check out the answers to the questions asked previously, you can switch over to the answer tab in the Q&A section. And if you have more questions, do leave them in the Q&A section, and we'll have Akhilesh and Tom answer them for you. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes, and we'll see what questions come in.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, you asked about the ACH and auto payment using credit card or ACH payments. Yes, of course, with respect to SuperOps.ai, we already integrate with Stripe, and we support both the ACH and CC auto payment options using that. So essentially, whenever an invoice is auto-generated with all of your items, one consolidated invoice, if your client's credit card is on file, we will auto charge it, and we use Stripe for this. Or you can have ACH on file, and we also provide a client portal in SuperOps where your client can also log in and pay these invoices using the same payment gateways and have their details on file as well. So that's how we sort that out.
All right. So Johnny Holt has another question for you. So yes, will this webinar be sent out to watch later? Yes, absolutely. So this session is being recorded. So we will be sending a follow-up email with a link to this recording to all registrants, whether they've attended or not. So yes, Johnny, you will be getting a copy of this recording. Also, Carlos has a question for you, Akhilesh. So Carlos's question is, does the same 24-hour sync with Pax8 also apply to QuickBooks or Xero?
Right. So Carlos, the sync with respect to Pax8, why we do that, it's 24 hours, is because sometimes you might change these subscription quantities. Let's say go ahead and change a license count from 10 to 12, and you might forget to sync. That's why we have automated it to make sure that there are no room for errors when it comes to invoicing. Also, what we do is, before we generate an invoice, also we check Pax8 once to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table. With respect to QuickBooks and Xero, what the sync we have currently is to make sure that you are able to sync your line items and your clients, so that the moment an invoice is generated, you can push it to QuickBooks, and any updates on, let's say, the invoices, let's say you go ahead and edit the invoice, or the invoice is paid in SuperOps, all these changes will reflect instantaneously in QuickBooks and Xero, and it's not like a 24-hour sync. They are instant. So whenever there is a change in invoice, a status update, you marked as void, or it was paid through credit card, etc., immediately it will reflect in QuickBooks or Xero, and that's an instantaneous change that you see will be reflected. And I'm not sure if that's the thing that you meant. But if there is anything in particular that you are looking for, you can reach out to us and we can definitely help, or you can continue in the Q&A as well. But in general, that's how we've thought about the Pax8 and given the on-demand sync. With respect to QuickBooks and Xero, the moment an invoice is synced, any kind of change in SuperOps is instantaneous, and we'll keep syncing it as and when an event happens.
All right. I hope that answered your question, Carlos. If you have a follow-up question, please do leave it in the Q&A, and Akhilesh would be more than happy to clarify it for you. So, all right, we'll just wait for a couple more minutes for any more questions. And all right, so I think we are at the end of the session. If you still do have any questions that you might get later, you can always reach out to us at support@superops.ai, or yeah, just send us a message on intercom. So all right, so thank you so much for attending. We hope you found this session and you found a lot of value in the session. We will send you more resources to make sure that you have this information and this all of these takeaways at your disposal at any time. So thank you so much for attending, and have a good day.